Welcome back to another video. Today, I'm going to be giving you a basic introduction to the game of League of Legends. Now, this is not meant to be an in-depth guide to the game in any way. The goal of this video is just to provide you with the basic information needed to watch or play the game while not being completely lost. Because League is such a complex game, this video will be broken into many different sections, covering things such as the map, the objective of the game, and the different champions. With the intro out of the way, let's get into the video, starting with the map. The map in League of Legends is called Summoner's Rift, and it is split into two different sides, the red side and the blue side. The river is the dividing line between these two sides. Pretty easy so far. Now onto the more complicated stuff. On the map there are three lanes, the top lane, the middle lane, and the bottom lane. While the top lane is simply called the top lane, the middle lane is referred to as the mid lane, while the bottom lane is called the bot lane. In between these three lanes is an area known as the jungle. And the last important feature of the map are the spawn fountains, where players will respawn whenever they die. These are the main features of the map and will be referenced throughout the rest of the video. But now that we've covered the map's features, we can move on to more specific things, starting with the lanes and their corresponding positions. In each of the three lanes, minions from each team will walk down the lane and meet in the middle. When killed, these minions will provide players with experience in gold, which is very important. In order to maximize the amount of gold each team gets, players will choose one of 5 positions. These positions are top laner, mid laner, attack damage carry or ADC for short, support, and jungler. Here's a quick rundown of where each position will go. The top laner will go to the top lane, and the mid laner will go to the mid lane. No surprise there. Here's where it gets a bit complicated. The ADC will go to the bottom lane, along with the support. Now, because each lane is being taken up, the jungler will move throughout the jungle, instead of going to a singular lane. These are the 5 roles that are found in almost every single game of League. And now that you know where they go, we can talk about the champions that fill these positions. In League, there are over 100 different champions, each with their own set of abilities, so this section is going to be kinda long. Luckily, each champion fits into a category that defines their role on a team, as well as what they are good and bad at. So, instead of slowly going over every single champion, I'll instead go over the 6 main classes, giving a brief explanation of what type of champion fits into which class. Alright, let's get into it. First up, there are controllers, who are focused on defense and protecting their allies. Next up, there are fighters, damage-dealing melee champions that are also pretty tanky. Marksmen, on the other hand, are the opposite of fighters. They have low amounts of health, but boast tremendous damage at range. Tanks are very durable, with a ton of health that focus on disrupting the enemy team. Slayers are high damage melee champions that make up for small health pools with high mobility. And lastly, there are mages, champions that use high damaging abilities to eliminate enemies, usually at a distance. Each of these classes is also broken up into subclasses, but they aren't important to learn if you're just starting to learn League, so I won't focus on them here. Now that we've gone over the champion classes, we can go over the positions that each class excels in. This part isn't too important to learn, and it's just another list, so if you want to skip, you can skip to the time on the screen, as long as I remember to put it in. But I would recommend listening to this part if you want a deeper understanding of the game. Alright, if you're still here, let's get into the positions. In the top lane, you will find champions mostly from the fighter class, with a few tanks and some slayers as well. The middle lane is exclusively dominated by mages and slayers. In the bottom lane, the ADC is always a marksman. You will never find any other class in the ADC role. Because supports need to protect and defend their ADC, they're usually controllers and tanks. The jungle is the most diverse position, with champions from multiple classes, such as tanks, fighters, and slayers. These are the most popular classes to play in each position. Since you now know how each champion is classified, let's move on to their abilities and attacks. Almost every champion has an auto attack, a passive ability, 3 basic abilities, and 1 ultimate ability. Some champions do deviate from this formula, but they are few and far between. So, let's go over the basic parts of every champion's kit. First off is the auto attack, which every single champion has. This is the most basic way for a player to damage an enemy, and only requires the player to right click on an enemy. Along with the auto attack, every champion will have at least one passive ability. Passive abilities are always active and usually define how the champion is played. Every champion has their own passive ability, meaning that there are around 150 passives in the game. Also unique to each champion is their 3 basic abilities. These abilities require the player to press a button on their keyboard in order to activate them. After using one of these abilities, it will go on cooldown for a set amount of time. It can't be used until the cooldown is over. Each champion has their own 3 abilities, so there are hundreds of unique abilities in the game, and all of them have differing effects. Ultimate abilities function a lot like basic abilities, as they require a button press and have cooldowns. Ultimate abilities will usually have a major impact when used. Because of this, they usually have very long cooldowns when compared to the basic abilities. Those are the major parts of every champion's kit. Now, let's talk about the major objectives in the game. The objective of the game is to destroy the opposing team's nexus. In order to do this, however, you must first destroy all the outer towers, inner towers, inhibitor towers, and the inhibitor in one lane. Doing this gives you access to the nexus towers, and eventually the nexus itself, winning you the game when you destroy it. This is the main objective of the game. Destroy the nexus, win the game. There are also 2 secondary objectives that will help you with this, the Baron Nashor and the Elemental Dragons. The Baron Nashor is a neutral monster that first spawns 20 minutes into the game at the Baron Pit. Whichever team defeats the Baron will receive increased damage for 3 minutes, giving them a major boost when fighting. This is the most important secondary objective. Getting the Baron could allow you to win the game, even if you're behind. The other secondary objective is the Elemental Dragons. First spawning in 5 minutes into the game, and every 5 minutes after that, the dragons located in the Dragon Pit give players a permanent buff, increasing things such as damage or movement speed. The dragons are also an important objective to fight over, as their permanent buffs are helpful later in the game. As a whole, the secondary objectives will allow teams to more easily complete their main objective, destroying the enemy nexus. Now, let's move to the final topic of today, game progression. There are 2 main ways in order to progress in a game of League of Legends. The first and most simple way is through earning XP in order to level up your character. Leveling up allows the player to upgrade their basic abilities, permanently increasing their effects and lowering their cooldown timers. Also, leveling up gives the player a small stat boost to all of their core stats. The max level for each champion is level 18, and at that point you will no longer be able to increase your stats through leveling up. This takes us to the second way to progress in a league game, using gold to buy items. Players earn gold by performing a multitude of actions, but the most common way to earn gold is to kill minions and eliminate enemy players. Once a player has earned gold, they can return back to their fountain in order to buy items. Items give players many stat bonuses that aren't affected by their levels. Along with giving players stat bonuses, items also give players active abilities, which act like a normal basic ability. Players can activate these abilities using a button on their keyboard. There are many different active abilities, so I won't cover them all here. Just remember that if you see a champion use an ability you thought they didn't have, it could have been an active item. Those are the 2 types of progression that you'll find in every game of League of Legends. Congratulations, you now have a basic idea of how to play League of Legends without being completely overwhelmed. But just remember, this is a very basic guide. There are many more things that aren't covered in this video that you'll eventually need to learn if you want to play competitively. Things like wards, CSing, inting, trading, ganking, jungle pathing, roaming, wave control, team fighting. But let's not worry about that for now. I hope you learned something and that you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like, and if you want to see more videos like this, consider subscribing to the channel. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.